Wait a minute. That's not Prowl. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are taking a look at the Legacy Evolution Transformers. Legacy United Transformers Cyberverse Chromia. Yeah, that's definitely not animated Prowl. I mean, this mold actually really works for Chromia, but before we talk about Chromia, let's talk about Chromia's box. So here we have Legacy United, Cyberverse Chromia, the vehicle mode, Transformers, pictures, and on back, product shots, blah blah blah, accessories, all that fun stuff. I'm just now realizing the colors are way off on this. Look at that. Look at that. The colors are way off. I'm just now noticing that. Well, whatever. We have Chromia here, so let's take a closer look. I really like the head sculpt. It just looks nice, and then the rest of the body. This just kind of works for a fembot. Alright. And then she does have this kind of back thing, but that's accurate to the animated Prowl design. So, her articulation is not bad either. Head, so it's on a plate here, but if you collapse that, it looks like her head is kind of shoved into her neck. So I like to bring it up, but the head can look all the way up, all the way down. It can tilt a lot, and it can rotate. She has a very expressive head. Shoulders pull a full 360. They hinge out on like weirdly soft indented ratchets. Like, you can't even hear it, but if you have the figure, you'll know what I mean. There's a bicep swivel, 90 degrees of bend at the elbow, no wrist swivel, but you do get a wrist hinge due to transformation. Waist swivel and due to transformation. Ab crunch. Ab crunch. And then if you unpeg this, you can get that going even further down. Ab crunch on a deluxe. Okay, I'm not complaining at all. Hips kick forward that far. Kick back about that far. They go in and out on, once again, weird indented ratchets. And as you can see, these plastics are different. This plastic is different than this plastic. It's much less noticeable in person than it is on the camera, but it is still noticeable. Get 90 degree, you get a little over 90 degrees of bend at the knee. The feet are crazy. It can go forward all the way, back all the way due to their transformation. And then ball joints at the feet, which allow them to go back even more and pivot to around there. But then there's also a swivel in this direction, but you can't really swivel it in this direction due to the kind of cut of the foot. But still, this thing is immensely articulated. Like, holy crap. You can get this thing into almost any pose that you would want it to be in. And then, her accessories all but help with that incredible, help with and complement that incredible articulation. Her accessories are the same as animated Prowls, which are these things on the side of her legs that flip open, and you slide that into this hand that is specifically designed to hold it. And that looks really good. Like, look at that and tell me that does not look cool. Then there is another one on this one, and you can technically hold it in that hand, but that hand is more for 5mm stuff. So I don't have many figures to size compare this with. Like, I would compare it with some Legacy animated figures if I had any Legacy animated figures. However, at my local Walmart, there are 2 Legacy United animated Motormasters. And those are the only Legacy United Wave 4 figures that it has. Just the 2 Motormasters. And then there's 1 animated Optimus. And then there's Thundertron. So, now, let's transform this thing. Now then, This thing has an asymmetrical transformation, which I both like and don't like. Like, the first time you do it, it is difficult, and the instructions don't really help with that. But as you do it, it gets a lot easier. So first thing you're going to want to do is take the hands and flip them into the hollow gaps in the arms. And just T-pose her. And we're going to straighten her out. You want to rotate the waist this specific direction. You cannot rotate it this way, or else that won't work. Rotate it this way. And then bring this up and around and bring these pieces forward just for clearance. Next thing you're going to want to do is utilize that ab crunch and bring the waist down. You must make sure that this piece is facing to the right. If it's not facing to the right, then you're doing it wrong. Take these joints in the arms, bring them back, peg them together, and then collapse the seat. Then you want to rotate the thighs this way, this specific direction, so that way you can bend the knee, and that knee pad will kind of feed into there. And then shift the foot back and place it on the crotch, like that. It must be that way. So then you want to take these pieces, fold them back, and then let's flip out the kickstand now. And then these two slots will go into these tabs on the side of the feet, but then these tabs go into these slots. You need to make sure that those tabs peg into those slots on the armatures, or else the kickstand won't work and she'll just fall. So get that in and then push, so that way that pegs in. Next, you're going to want to collapse this all the way, then bring this up. This foot will slide in there. It's a bit difficult the first time, but just fiddle with it a little bit and it will go in there. Make sure everything is all lined up. Place her down. And boom! Alt mode. I really do like this bike alt mode. It looks really just sleek. Once again, it does a really good job at differentiating itself from the animated Prowl. And unfortunately, it can't really roll by itself because, you know, it's a bike. It only has 2 wheels. That and the wheels themselves aren't too good at rolling. Like, they will roll, but you kind of got to push. But that effect with that rim looks really cool. You cannot put it in reverse, though, because if you do, those just start unfurling themselves, and the clicks inside of them that automate the feature kind of get out of whack. You can manually fix them by just pushing them back into place, but it's not recommended. Then the bare wheel still looks really good, too. Like, this thing is my favorite color, blue, and while I do usually much prefer this shade of kind of like sky blue, I think the candy blue works better for this because it's not as overwhelming. Yeah, and so for this, it's very difficult to get out of there with this pegged in, so I recommend unpegging this, bringing that out, and then pegging it back in. So, and hoping that it stays. There we go. See, it looks like she's about to fall over, but she won't. But if these pieces aren't pegged in properly, like see right here, they're not pegged in, she will just fall. No matter what you do. You got to make sure those are pegged in. But once you have everything lined up, it's a really nice alt. So now, let's do ourselves into some final thoughts. Obtain this thing. It is a really good, just deluxe figure to fiddle around with. It's very fun. And if you can't find this, then just find animated Prowl. But I do recommend getting your hands on one version of this mold. That has been all for this review, and I will see you all in the next one.